Hi guys, and welcome to my second video. As you can see, I'm very new. No microphone as yet, but we will get there. So a little bit about me and a little bit about what we're doing, what I'm doing in my garden. So as hopefully I can pass a little bit of information on. I'd like to learn from you guys as well, through the comments and all of this bits and bobs, just to see if we can make everybody enjoy it a bit more. I mean, that's why you're here, right? So exotic gardening and how I got here. So many years ago, I got a brugmansia and it flowered, and that was enough. I was hooked. So as years went by, and I worked for numerous garden centres and all the rest of it, and I developed like a completely different style as to what's the norm when you say tropical or exotic. You got your guys like Yorkshire Chris, who's very much into his palm trees, very much into ferns, that side of the tropics, so undergrowth, canopy, that sort of thing. And then you've got our fellow Andrew over at MK, Grow Tropical MK. He's very much into his grasses and things like that, bamboos, grasses, that sort of thing. Now, me, on the other hand, being different, I would say mine's a bit more of a clash between exotics and cottage garden. Now, I know that sounds a bit weird to everybody. You either go one way or the other and whatever. But let's say it's gardening. So we can go whatever way we want. Same as you guys. You'll all have your own little niche. You like to grow hydrangeas, you might like to grow roses. Who knows? I just fit into this niche, and I'll tell you how I got there. So, me and my boss, a couple of years back, where I was selling sheds, greenhouses, all the rest of it, we had to dress our show site, and every year would be going to like the big gathering of all the show sites. We all get together and there's prizes given, so prize day, and you were judged on your show site looks, and we won this year after year after year, and it just carried on and on and on. Now, my boss was very into cottage garden, and I grew tropicals, and we were cutthroat every day, day in, day out. I was doing something, he wouldn't like it, he would do something, I wouldn't like it, and it was a nightmare. But then we actually took the whole show site into one big canvas, and we looked at it and walked around it and thought, actually, this is working. And no wonder why the customers were coming down, and they were all saying how nice it looked, and I'd be looking at his cosmos going, ugh, and he'd be looking at my cannas going, God, aren't they brash? And together they worked. So the be all and end all of what I'm trying to say basically is anything can work in gardening if you allow it. So I would go around and I'd maybe plant up a container. We had about 300 containers on the show site, and he would then go plant it up with cosmos. I would go next to him and plant up the next one, and I would do it with cannas. Then he'd come in behind me and sneak a couple of rudbeckias in. then I go behind his back and throw a brugmansia in to one of his beds. And then when you stand back and look at it all, I know he's not happy looking at my brugmansia, and I know he's not happy looking at the canna, and I'm not happy looking at Cosmos. But taken in the whole, it was just a picture. And I'll put some, maybe on the next video, this is more of an introduction, but on the next video, I'll put some photographs up as to how the show site looked. And it was special. It really was special. And it was just mass of everything. And it got me thinking into the way things work together. Hence why I'm stood here with this. So a lot of people will say, oh, what are you going to do with them? Spider plant and the tridescantia. Well, I'm going to make a hanging basket out of it. Why not? Hanging basket for the centre, tridescantia around the outside. Job done. Look at the contrast. It works. Little things like that. So, I would usually take a pot, and I'll show you out the front is all dedicated to pots, and this is what I've been trying to pass on to the neighbours because it's more of a community garden out the front. Out the back here is used for brugmansias, and which I'll show you in a minute. So my way of looking at it is the pots out the front, they've all got to be colourful. It's the fronts of all of our houses. So I'll keep in mind the colour, but what I'll do is I'll put a focal point in for me and then dress it round the outside. So let's take example dark leaf canna, canna Durban, or canna tropicana, or Russian red. Russian red's perfect example. There you go. So canna Russian red, the leaf slightly green tinted with a red undertone. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Great big pot, canna Russian red in the middle, bright orange flower on it, lovely foliage colour. So what I will go then and do for the neighbours while the cannas aren't flowering, I'll use the backdrop of the canna and maybe shove a rudbeckia in front of it. Bright yellow flower on a dark background will always do well. So my neighbours are happy because they're getting their splash of colour. I'm happy in the long run because I've got Russian red canna growing behind it that when I do the time in bloom per year, every year, and it gets judged throughout the course of the time, and it's getting judged on, my category is community garden. So they will come down when they feel fit and they'll just judge out the front and tend to win or come second or whichever. But I've been doing it on a yearly thing. It's a bit of a drive to get things going and get it all looking good and pristine for all the neighbours. They've got friends and family coming down, and all I ever get is good review, which is good. It's a bit of a boost. But what I'll do is I'll put in something like brugmansia that's keeping me happy, and then I'll maybe dress the pot up underneath with petunias. So they're looking at the petunias and they're happy, and I'm looking at the brugmansia. Bit of a different way of looking at gardening, but it works. And anything works really when you think about it and you give it the time of day. Sorry, I was just looking, a little ladybird was flying up there. Anyway, he's off to get all the green fly that are on my brugmansias. I'm joking, there's none on there, believe me, I've checked. And yeah, so this is a bit of my channel, a bit about my channel, and as you can see I'm pretty green around the ears. because editing's not going to be the best, microphone lacking of, and I will get one of them little fluffy things in time. But it's more of an introduction as to what I'm going to be growing. So I'm going to be growing exotics with a bit of spice. You see what I mean? You'll learn my way of thinking as the year goes on. So what we got to play with is very brugmansia driven, canna driven. They're all under there asleep at the minute. I haven't woke them up yet, even though we're heated in here, because the weather outside, oh my goodness, it's shocking. Got snow coming on Saturday night. It's Friday the 13th of January 2026, and it's raining at the minute. So, you know, it can throw whatever it likes at this, but I'm still sat in, it's probably about 15 degrees in here at the minute. Canna should be waking up slowly but surely. So, a little bit about what we got to play with. My things that I enjoy most: cannas, bananas, colocasia, brugmansia, and a few other things, odds and sods that picked up along the way that I actually quite like, such as tall grasses, miscanthus, giant. What else we got going on here? I've got morning light miscanthus. I've got what's this one? Arundo Dunax variegated, Arundo normal. So they're going to be my stuff, and then round the bottom, who knows? A bit Tradescantia. See what I mean? The way the head works is not kind of the same way that maybe Yorkshire Chris's does, or Grow Tropical MK and his grasses and his bamboos. Yorkshire Chris with his ferns and his palms. You know, me, I'm more, I haven't really got a style. I just throw it together and see if it works, and it tends to. Sometimes I think, ugh, don't like the look of that, but other people will. So keeps them happy, and that's the idea of gardening. So anyway, what we got going around, brugmansias, that's what I was going to talk to you about. So these all these guys here, all of these have been dressed, top dressed with seaweed powder, and then they were stuck out in the rain for a day whenever we had 11 degrees a couple of days ago, and then it hammered it down overnight, so they were out all night because it was minimum 8 degrees, and they'd be fine in that. And to be honest, they're putting leaves on like they're going out of fashion. They've woke up, they really have. They were sticks last week, and now they're all green. Of a little one down there with a seed pod on it. I can show you because I've got a camera. Forgot about that. So got a seed pod going on down there, and that's a cross pollination that I did myself between Purple Rain and Artus, which again I'll show you further down the line, purple and red, and then we'll go through everything together throughout this coming year. This is going to be a completely new thing, exciting times, because I get to show you guys how I breed them, which ones I'm selecting, cut-ins, propagations, seed sowing, you name it, the works. And as you've probably seen from the absolute abysmal video that I've just done of the other polytunnel next door, there's 200 odd seedlings of brugmansias in there, so it's going to be a fun year. So yeah, it was just basically an introduction, so please like and subscribe. I can never say that right. and you'll probably see this throughout the rest of my videos. Subscribe and like, maybe. That's my way of doing it, this dodgy accent of mine. And leave a comment, let me know what yous are getting up to, because then it might retrain, you know, me into thinking, actually that will work because somebody else has mentioned it, and then I can give it a go. And hopefully you guys take quite a bit from me as well, from propagation, little iochroma, which I've got a tree outside, and that'll flower and stuff, and I'll show you all of that. And then I've got a few butylons over in the corner, Trioscandia, fushia boliviana alba, and then grandiflora rubra. I've got all sorts of goings on, so please like and subscribe and like, and we can carry on this journey together. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.